everybody, it's Chugga Conroy. Welcome back to more Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. Last time we made it to Nacrene City and had a showdown with Uxie in the middle of a town. It made more sense when I really thought about it. Now, we go to Nacrene Museum and to the stretches beyond. There's a lot to do here in the museum, so I'm researching Pokemon fossils here. You have a fossil, don't you? Shall I turn it back into a Pokemon? Which fossil should I turn back? We got the Motherlode, wow! I want to turn the cover fossil back in. Okay then, I'll turn that cover fossil back into a Pokemon for you. You can get fossils from Joint Avenue, the museum there, or from the guy digging for fossils once daily inside of Twist Mountain. Two ways to get them. It's Tirtuga, please take care of it. Oh, I'm sorry, your part. You people are an academic institution, and you mean to tell me you've never heard of a computer? Oh, but this guy has. Doing terrific. We get a medal for reviving our first fossil, Archaeology Lover. There are no other medals related to fossil Pokemon, but you might as well res them if you got them. They're there, they're Pokemon. What do you got against it? Using my battle box. That's what I'm talking about. Keep Braviary in there, get the rest of our team in there, and we just need to store them real quick so I'm not scrolling around to whatever box I put them in. Or not, you can't easily access your party from this. It replaces being able to access your party. Well, that stinks. Okay, never mind, I was doing that the right way in the first place. I was thinking about reviving all of my fossils in one go. I counted and I have 17 of them. There's a medal for getting 50 Pokemon in one day, and I thought maybe that could be made a lot easier by just reviving my 17 fossils all at one time. There we get a Tirtuga. The Pokemon that you can get back from fossils are Arcan, Tirtuga, Omanite, Kabuto, Aerodactyl, Lileep, Anorith, Cranidos, and Shieldon. They're not terribly useful, coming in at level 25, so you will need to put in some effort in order to keep them, but they're fine. Now with a, well, minus special attack plus special defense, that's kind of useful. I don't particularly want to use these Pokemon. It upsets me a little bit how Tirtuga and Arcan are locked to the post-game only because the location of Nacrene Museum being unfortunate. I would have liked to have seen them in the main story again. For a long time, it was believed that Tirtuga was a beta design that was cut from Gold and Silver and eventually reworked into a Pokemon many years later. This isn't the case. There's a magazine that shows a beta Tyranitar on the front cover, but at the time, their stance on these images was that they were not necessarily Pokemon, so it's just something that Ken Sugimori drew once upon a time that I guess looks similar to something else that was drawn later. Welcome to Nacrene Museum. Currently, we're exhibiting a replica of the Lightstone, which was the legendary Pokemon's dormant form. Wow! Whenever I look at this skeleton, I'm fascinated. Welcome, I'm Hawes, the assistant director. Since you were kind enough to visit, I'll give you a tour of the museum. Oh, it's his boss/wife. Why, you're Blaze, right? You came all the way out here. Well now, tell me, which do you like better, the cover fossil or the plume fossil? They give you the choice here as you could only choose one of these fossils back during the first game, and you can fill in your collection with the other one. I don't personally care because I have a Joint Avenue, but be careful when choosing it. That's a nice choice. If you want to restore it, go to our receptionist counter. I misread that as the clover fossil for a long time, but I had no idea what that had to do with a turtle. Dear! Suddenly interrupting my tours will surprise the patrons. Oh, and you haven't even introduced yourself yet, have you? Oh, that's right. I'm Lenora, the director of this museum. I'm always in my study, so come visit me if you have time. Oh dear. Well, let's continue our tour. This is a skeleton. The skeleton is of a dragon-type Pokemon. There's a theory that it had an accident while it was flying around the world, so it became a fossil. We learn that Deoxys changes its form by coming into contact with the power of meteors. Indeed, you can bring your Deoxys here and change its form. Oh, now that is truly made as an artifact. This is a replica of that Lightstone. Have you heard of the Lightstone? Yes, this is the form of the legendary Pokemon Reshiram while it rests. What? You've seen Reshiram? That's amazing. In that case, my explanation is superfluous, isn't it? So nice seeing continuity come up and things like that. The library is in the next room. Beyond that is the director's room. By the way, Lenora is a former gym leader. Charon indeed took over for her and now is the one who gives out her badge. A plate with an unknown script carved into it. A mask that ancient people used to wear at festivals. The thick club held by Marowak, just like how Cubone wears its mother's skull. Marowak could also battle with the bone of someone dear to it. bones that were once carried as weapons by a certain kind of Pokemon. This is a skeleton specimen from a Pokemon that flew around the world. It's a fossil of a Pokemon that was protected by a very hard shell, Armaldo. What does this say? Meteor that has a space virus attached to it. I'm crossing my fingers. This replica Lightstone, legendary Pokemon Reshram's dormant state. Perhaps there is a Pokemon that came from space along with this meteorite. I actually have this Pokemon. Let's go see it. Deoxys is reacting to the meteor. Would you like to bring the Deoxys in your party closer to the meteor? Deoxys has changed to have superior stats for attacking. This form is incredible. This thing is so strong. Look at that. 419 special attack and still 330 attack. It's got 323 speed. It has defenses of 50 though, but who cares? Deoxys has some of the highest base stats of any Pokemon, but it's going to have ridiculously low stats in whatever is not adept for that form. Here's Defense Deoxys. Now having defenses in the 300s and HP in the 200s, but its attack stats are in the 100s. And last up is Speed form. Has balanced stats all over the place, while its speed is the highest of all Pokemon, 383. What next? Oh! You! Bones can talk! What? I'm just picturing like grabbing a skull and being like, hey, I have a joke for you. What's a skeleton's favorite snack? Why, hello, Berg. It's just so random. What's up? Suffering from artist block again? Bones, perhaps. Everyone talking about bones. Bones? This is a museum, so of course we have bones. What are you looking for? Your next motif? Maybe, or maybe not. Many bug-type Pokemon have hard coverings, right? They're so-called exoskeletons. So I don't quite understand bones. Not at all, actually. You got lots of them, buddy. I'm sure you can understand. So did you think you would understand something about bones if you came here? Sure thing. Make yourself at bone. If you'd like, I could have my husband explain them to you. Well, for starters, what do bones mean to you? Well, when I was little, my dad worked in a mine, and he would always bring home bones he dug up. I was just a child, but I was brought under the spell of bones. What did the bones look like when they were part of a living being? Why are they shaped the way they are? Things like that captivated me. Oh, I kind of understand. I'm also fascinated by the functional, efficient designs of bug-type Pokemon, such as the shape of their legs. There, what's everyone all gather up for? What brings you here? Found a fossil in Twist Mountain. I came here to have Lenora look at it and see if you wanted to keep it here or something. Clay, what do bones mean to you? Well now, no matter who you are or when you die, bones are all that'll be left of you. When you think about it, it's amazing. Even if you die, you can make money. Some fossils are worth a lot, you know? I can't tell if you're kidding, but of course you would think that way. Berg is trying to think about what bones mean to him. Don't be so flippant. What kind of fossil you got there? Let me see. Here you go. What do you think? It's gotta be worth a mint as a specimen or as a collectible. Which is it? Well, I mean this in a good way, but it's an ordinary fossil. If it isn't worth much as a specimen, you can't sell it for much. But I'm curious about the soil attached to the fossil. What do you mean? It's very subtle, but it's a bit different from the soil I usually see from Twist Mountain. That's so. Guess my Twist Mountain has unlimited potential. All right, I'll keep on digging my clay tunnel. Earberg, that plain old fossil is yours. Have a look at it and think about what bones mean to ya. Thank you, Lenora. I guess it's okay that I have my own perspective on what bones mean to me, right? Why not? You, me, Clay, we all have a different way of thinking about what bones mean to us. It'd be kind of creepy if we all felt the exact same way, right? Anyway, I feel sorry for this fossil. It's just resting, minding its own business, and everyone is saying that this and that about it. I know. I'll thank this fossil by using it as a motif for one of my works. See you, Lenora. Whose bones are on display at this museum? The answer is your bones. My bones. Bones. I held out for an impressively long time without referencing that. You have no idea how hard it is for me to not say that when bones are being said for a second. I heard the director Lenora is too busy with her research in fossils and Pokemon bones, so she took a break from being a gym leader. I just think of an explanation for that. Oh, hello. Sorry, I don't have any fresh water. This isn't a Pokemon gym anymore. It's a library now. The library used to be a Pokemon gym. Picture books. Lily-Livered Lillipup's Quest Volume 2. This is a story of a cowardly Lillipup and a short-tempered Zorua. A violent Zorua blocks the path of Lillipup, who is headed to a cave to get medicine. After this, that, and the other thing, the two of them became friends and decided to travel together. Cute. Lily-Livered Lillipup's... Okay, let's do these ones in order, though, because I'm noticing a pattern here. What is this one? Pokemon. Bones, Fossils, and Us. The book collects research on Pokemon bones and fossils. Not only can we learn about ancient Pokemon's bodies from their bones and fossils, we can learn about how people of ancient times interacted with Pokemon. To ancient people, Pokemon were a sacred presence. They were revered as much to a greater extent than what happens today. General Studies, The Joy of Rides. Book is about things you can ride in the Unova region, such as Castilia's cruise ship and Mistralton City's planes. Before there were planes, locomotives carried people all over Unova. The railway in Echoing City is a legacy of those times. 5 Bridges. There's a book on a backpacker wrote about when visiting Unova region's 5 famous bridges. There are 200 pages dedicated to the charms of drinking lemonade and watching the cruise ship from Sky Arrow Bridge at sunset alone. Unova Gourmet. People in the know start out with movie milk and a village sandwich. Then to finish off a meal, a classic favorite, a Castilia cone. I'll fill you in on my favorite book, The Mythology of the Sinnoh region. Oh, I know that book. Long ago, when Sinnoh had just been formed, Pokemon and humans led separate lives. This is not to say they did not help one another. Indeed, they did. They supplied one another with necessary items, and they supported one another. One Pokemon said to the others they should always be ready to help humans. It is proposed that Pokemon be ready to appear before humans whenever needed. Thus, to this day, Pokemon appear to humans if they venture into tall grass. I always interpreted that as being why you run into stronger Pokemon as you go into later areas too. Because I always thought it was awfully suspicious that you always run into Pokemon that are roughly on your level as you go through a journey, but if it's Pokemon themselves choosing to appear before people who need them, it would make sense. Volume 1. Story about a kind but cowardly Lillipup. In order to save its sick grandmother, it goes in search of medicine in a cave where a scary ghost lives. Volume tells the story about how crybaby Lillipup summons the courage to set off on its journey. Aww. Volume 3 will be here. Short-tempered Zorua and a lonely Yamask. When Lillipup and Zorua enter the cave, they hear a creepy cry. Sticking close to each other, deep into the cave they go. They find a Yamask loudly crying. It wanted very much to make friends, but everyone was scared of it, and nobody would be its friend. After this, that, and the other, they figured this out, and 3 new friends continue into the cave. These books are very light on content if they make you buy 4 books for this. It's like on-disc paid DLC, practically. The story is about 3 pals, Lillipup, Zorua, and Yamask. After fleeing from a colony of Woobat and working together to defeat a Krokorok, who's being a bully, they find the medicinal herb Lillipup needs. The 3 of them make a pinky promise. None of them even have pinky fingers. To play together again, and each returns home, although they want to play more. Lillipup gives the medicinal herb to its grandmother, and she feels better. Yay! From then on, the 3 Pokemon became best of friends forever, and everyone lived happily ever after. That was sweet. I kind of liked that. There was a lot more in that room than I thought there was. I think you have something for me. Some problems you can't solve even if you think about them your whole life. Some problems have different answers depending on the person. Still, the reason I can't keep my curiosity on it is this. I want to figure out the truth, but I also have a desire for adventure. Just a whole bunch of her research that she wrote. She's amazing. She is a pretty cool gym leader. The bones Lenora is using for research. The bones Lenora is using for research are on display. That's everything here in town, so I guess we'll move on. I don't know for sure if that thing with fossil Pokemon counting as Pokemon caught toward that medal is really a thing. If you happen to know, I would love to hear about it if that's actually a viable strategy before I go and do it. Are you checking the electronic billboards? Right here, it's news about mass outbreaks of Pokemon is really hot. Excuse me, trainer? This Pokemon egg was found at the daycare. Would you raise it? Yeah, your party is... I was even leaving a spot open in my party because I thought the egg was in the museum and then I forgot. Please take good care of this egg. We'll just take it with us and just see what it is. I actually don't even really remember what it is. Daycare on Route 3, they might be able to tell you more. My friend's friend was saying that Pokemon eggs are sometimes discovered at the daycare on Route 3. Pokemon eggs hatch on number of steps. Different species have different step requirements for when they hatch, so they're not all created equal. In fact, some legendary Pokemon even have unused data for taking tens of thousands of steps. You can cut the number of steps in half by having the abilities Flame Body or Magma Armor in your party. We're doing a rotation battle. Wow, okay, this is cool. The abilities Magma Armor or Flame Body will lower it by half. And then you can also essentially purchase steps by going to the nurseries inside of Joint Avenue, and as you level it up, you can purchase items that are basically, they're incubators that'll count as more and more steps. I don't have Pignati in my party. He was the one that I deposited, as I thought to myself, yeah, it's kind of a shame having a fire-type Pokemon, but not having those abilities, and we're about to get an egg and all, so I'll leave it out. Still think Blossom Sprite is creepy as hell. Got an Ice-type move. I got Quad weakness on both Skiploom and Jumpluff. Blossom comes out. I'm just gonna keep spamming Ice Punch. I don't gotta rotate around. You can do all that. You can make yourself more susceptible to my attacks for all I care. Thank you. Blossom's sadly a pure grass type, so I don't get the ability to use Psychic against it, and I could swap in Harmony and go for a Heat Wave. That is a powerful move. Let's go for it. You can't spin out of the way. I wish we could see the AI do a rotation battle where they have more than 3 Pokemon and they would swap in new ones when old ones would faint. It would go on for a while. They never do that. I think it's a crying shame. McFly gets to level 67. Just a lack of experience makes sure to which way to rotate. Man, if Order 66 was so good, why isn't there an Order 67? Found a Quick Ball. And then I want to go... There's an item over there. That looks pretty fun. See what we got. No, I can't do that without doing that. You're gonna fight me if I talk to you, which I definitely don't want to do. I should swap in Jade and see what we can do with her now that she's even stronger than before. That sounds really fun. Go up. Dowsing Machine. No, nothing there at all. There is something over this way. Give me that. And then up here, yeah, we got lots of items. Full Restore. And a Calcium. Pretty good. Could always sell that if I'm not gonna use it. The Swarm encounters on this route are a little bit more interesting than your average ones. Black 2 gets Volbeat, whereas White 2 gets Illumise. These Pokemon are pretty tough to get based on which versions that you've gotten over time, so I just thought I would make mention of them. I'm gonna see what that is. I never ever check those things. I need to see what it is. If they're Dust Clouds, I do. This is gonna be a Pokemon, so I just tend to not really care all that much. Basculin. Yeah, that checks out. That's what it always is. I knew it. I missed something up here. I told myself you'll find something interesting while surfing. Trust me, you'll know what it is. Apparently I didn't, because this is me coming back the next day and getting a pickup shot. I got a Super Pel for this. All right, this hidden grotto is pretty significant. We can find Pokemon like Bibarel with Moody. So good, it turned every battle into a luck fest, and they had to ban Bibarel. So then everyone started running Bidoof instead, and it was still good enough that they had to ban Bidoof too. True story. Okay, they simplified it by just banning Moody, but still. Yeah, not what I think most people who weren't around back then expected me to say when they saw this frickin' face. Moody just giving you any buff you want at random, it can really add up in ways that you don't expect. Venonat with Runaway. No utility at all here, but it turns into Wonder Skin. This changes a bit status accuracy against it to 50%, sort of a Gen 1 status move simulator. If we can get use out of this ability, this thing is wild. It's one of the few Quiver Dance users and could even snag Baton Pass with an egg move. Really, compared to such middling stats and a history of mediocrity, it sure put in the work and got better, didn't it? Lombre with Own Tempo. Immunity to Confusion is bizarre, but I guess also how often are you gonna run into rain unless your team is already based around it? I feel like all of Lombre's abilities are situational and this one is no different. Now, obtaining a Venonat is kind of significant. I would call Venonat one of the hardest Pokemon to obtain long-term across the Pokemon series if you just jumped in at any random time. It was never part of any regional Pokedex since frickin' Kanto, until it finally was in one in Scarlet and Violet. It took that long. To be fair, I'm not counting Johto games because in those there was no distinction between national Pokedex and regional Pokedex. Everything was just kind of in there. But still, yeah, it was not natively in a regional Pokedex since red, blue, yellow, fire red, leaf green. Back on the bridge, there's you over there. Well, let's get into some fights. I'm kind of itching for some, and besides, there's actually some new Pokemon on this route that are interesting to talk about. Triple battle, wow. You guys do things differently around here. Let's get into it. Stoutland! Finally, a wild Stoutland. Like, we got this in cold storage in the first game, and it's only just now appearing in this one. We've been through this before, a reliable normal type, lots of moves, and intimidate. What more could you ask for in a good boy? Corphish! I'm not talking about this, we'll skip straight to Crawdaunt! Here's a Pokemon that could be good, but everything that makes it unique is just behind some kind of fence. Dragon Dance is a superb egg move. Wow, Harmony! Just showing off, aren't you? Damn! Sorry, Dragon Dance. It's not learnable anyway besides breeding, and it'd be pretty tough to raise up a baby to our levels without having access to Join Avenue's upper levels or something. Its speed holds it back so much, so this is particularly sad for a Pokemon to lack that move. Big Nug! Good route, good route. Adaptability is a strong hidden ability that there's no way to obtain, so it's just kinda using water and dark moves. Its special attack is decent and it could whip out a surprise Ice Beam, but this just sounds like all the awesome water types we've already met. About the only unique thing Crawdaunt can actually muster is a Crab Hammer. Only Crawdaunt and Kingler can learn this move, and it's 100 power, 90 accuracy, physical, and has a high critical hit chance. Some prefer Waterfall, but we don't get the speed boosting without egg moves, and that would allow it to pick up flinches with that move. I say go all in on power instead. Crawdaunt is a compelling Pokemon, it's just, you gotta really work for it. Speaking of pickup shots involving hidden grottos I didn't see, here we are again. It's this hidden grotto. I get nothing! Growth mulch. Thanks. In this hidden grotto, Pachirisu with Volt Absorb. I keep thinking you have Cheek Pouch, but no, that's not even a thing here. Anyway, yes, this is the only ability on Pachirisu with any combat utility. Of course, it's the best thing for it. Manectric with Minus does nothing unless it has specific allies. Boo. And Zebstrika with Sap Sipper, trading an electric immunity for a grass one. It's kind of good. It's all preference. Okay, so that's a lot of Pokemon that we've gone over. I think right here at the junction, yeah, we're gonna end things here. We got partway through Route 3, we saw the Nakreen Museum. Next time on Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, there is, well, a dungeon at the end of this route. See you guys then.